Endemic corruption has earned its place in Uganda as it has permeated every pocket of society, from sacred places like churches and courts. A 2017 study by the Washington, D.C.-based Global Integrity noted that, and I quote, "Roughly a quarter of businesses report expecting to give gifts to public officials to get things done, and more than half expect to give gifts when getting an electric connection," end quote. Across the cloistered halls of ministries, agencies and departments and local governments, it is business as usual, as public servants are always engineering ways of out-manoeuvring both existing systems and scrutiny by watchdog organizations. For long spells, anti-graft agencies, the IGG, Auditor General and Police have raised red flags about the mismanagement of the government payroll, payment of salaries, pension and gratuity, but those in charge continue taking baby steps to act. Although numerous reforms have been enforced to curb wastage and misappropriation, including automating systems, have been put in place, several acts of malfeasance that cost taxpayers billions of shillings annually remain. They include inadequacies in budgeting for employees and pension costs, inappropriate disclosure of payroll transactions in the financial statements, inaccurate deductions and delayed remittances, irregular payments, and weak internal controls. In Manafa in eastern Uganda, 2 district authorities are currently in court after a long-running case of dubious deduction from workers' salaries for loan repayment was detected. This matter was escalated to the Inspectorate of Government. Before this incident unfolded, much of this graft operated below the radar. This official, who requested anonymity, explained how it happened.
For us, as members of staff, we didn't know that it was money being detected from us until some whistleblowers, I think either who were in the deal, but the deal went sour or something like that, that we're not compromising. They went and told the IGG to go and investigate this very same money. So the IGG went to Dhaka Hill, investigated, and discovered that there were about over 800 million shillings that had been deducted from Manafa staff taken to Dhaka Hill as if it was some kind of loan that they.
The scheme started on February 6, 2013, when Manafa district authorities entered an MOU with a microfinance center, Dark Hill Business Consult International Limited, to avail salary loans to the district staff. According to the official, whereas their money was being deducted, the process was shrouded in secrecy and district authorities concealed the exact number of people whose money was deducted.
Whilst there was money being deducted from Manafa district local government, there was no files in Dhaka Hill to indicate the exact people who were being deducted money from. So the IGG tasked Dhaka Hill to explain. I think for one reason or the other, the Dhaka Hill didn't have any better explanation. What we only saw was that Dhaka Hill had started paying Manafa district local government all the amount of money that was deducted from Manafa district local government.
Then more suspicion ensued.
And either could have been deducted small by small, bits by bits, as it accumulates there. Because, you know, with a population or a staff of about over 200 or 500, and they are detecting either 5,000. Sometimes the staff will not even recognize that there is his money that has been deducted because the money is small. Some people who get some maybe hundreds of thousands, and then they have deducted 5,000. You may not take it serious, but the money will have been deducted.
The district payroll generated from the Ministry of Finance Integrated Personnel and Payroll System for February 2017 to February 2018 revealed that the district made deductions from the salaries of 38 employees who had obtained loans from this firm. A total of 23 million shillings was supposed to have been remitted to Dark Hill as loan repayments. However, the district instead transferred 801.9 million shillings to the microfinance through 14 electronic funds transfer orders between February 2017 to March 2018. Manafa district authorities and the microfinance workers declined to comment on the story. Following the IGG's investigation, the microfinance was compelled to refund the money last year. Sources in the Treasury told NTV the case mirrors a growing trend of local government authorities around the country without authorization making deductions of workers' salaries for dubious loan repayments. A December 2021 audit report of payrolls for 139 local governments documented that 11.1 billion shillings was deducted from 6,835 workers without consent letters, while another 3.7 billion shillings in deductions from 1,916 workers, most of whom earn meager pay, was flagged. For instance, Shema District Local Government deducted 1.1 billion shillings without consent letters. Soroti District Local Government deducted 1 billion shillings from 643 workers. Kagadi District deducted 1.5 billion shillings from 757 workers, among others, all without explanation. However, the chairperson of the Uganda Local Government Association, Richard Rabuhinga, says graft in local governments is overblown than that seeping in the central government.
The study that was done in 2018-19 notes that about 3 trillion, please quote me, 3 trillion meant to give services in local government is retained at the center in the various ministries, departments and agencies. And I doubt even whether 0.5 trillion ever reaches the local government. Where does this money go? So driving a convoy from Kampala to come and arrest the CFO, believed to have misappropriated 20 million, and leaving someone who is clinging on 2.5 or 3 trillion, I think to me it is a mockery.
He acknowledged that there are concerns which should be contextualized.
Some of the issues raised by the Auditor General are far above local governments, because they will tell you, you have not filled these positions, which is a genuine concern and a genuine query. That your staffing levels are far below the required one. Very genuine query. But the problem is, how would you recruit when Minister of Public Service has not approved your recruitment plan? How would you recruit when the Minister of Finance has not provided the requisite wage?
This week, Uganda joined the rest of the world to commemorate the International Anti-Graft Day every December 9th to raise awareness of corruption. Earlier on Tuesday, anti-corruption agencies revealed they had over the past 3 years recovered about 241 billion shillings from thieving bureaucrats, while estimates of how much is exactly swindled through the various schemes remain indeterminate. However, there is widespread sense of resignation that the war against corruption was long lost amidst little political will to contain the vice. A peek into accountability reports shows complacency in the fight against graft, which continues to cripple service delivery. Like a pet subject, President Museveni and his technocrats continue to pledge to tame graft.
I think the biggest challenge is that there are more allegations which are not easy to substantiate how it comes in, because you hear the public outcry. Why are you getting us a small fish? We want some big fish. And people bring you a lot of information, but they can't substantiate it for it to stand in court, because the big fish don't leave footprints. They don't, because by nature of corruption, it is discussed under the table, it is discussed through proxies. You won't find a big fish signature anywhere, but they can direct. So the small fish is on and nakafiramu, and people say you are catching the small fish. So the big fish don't leave footprints.
The Auditor General and IGG have raised red flags about management of the payroll, payment of salaries, pension and gratuity, which is blighted by several issues, but it remains unclear why the Ministry of Public Service cannot stamp it out. One Ministry of Finance official told NTV that they have put in place several reforms to offer a certain degree of comfort to taxpayers and donors, that there is an effort to curb wastage and theft of public funds, but to completely stop officials from beating the system is a tall order. The official said there is a syndicate stretching from the Ministry of Public Service to local governments to some ministries like that of Education and Health, where cases of ghost schools and teachers and ghost health centers keep recurring. For instance, the audit of the government payroll unraveled that some district authorities played deliberate delay tactics to delete staff who quit or die from the payroll. Of the 79 local governments that did not remove staff who quit public service, retired or died immediately from the payroll, 1.1 billion shillings was paid and never recovered. There are various instances of misclassification, an instance of wrongly assigning someone something of salaries, pensions and gratuity by 34 local governments, which cost taxpayers 4 billion shillings. Among others, Kalangala District Local Government paid 357 million shillings, Manafa 476 million shillings, and Fort Portal City 413 million shillings. Some local governments, including Kamwenge, Kabarole, Chegegwa, Ntoroko, Chenjojo, and Bundibujo, Treasury records show have very poor absorption meant for payment of salaries and pensions, among others. The unspent monies are then returned to the consolidated fund at the end of every financial year, leaving a blot on service delivery. There are cases of payment of salaries using the wrong grades, for which 34 local governments, including Yumbe, Nebi, Ntoroko, Hoima and Kakumiro, among others, cashed out 216 million shillings. Rabuhinga said while they do not condone corruption, authorities should exercise discretion while arresting suspects.
As local government leaders in Uganda, we do not condone corruption, but also we are saying that by the time we think of arresting, let us have concluded all the investigation and knowing that we are arresting the right person for a reason. Because if you are going to look at how many of these arrested have been prosecuted, you'll find about 10% or 5%. Where do the rest go? They are acquitted.
The Inspector General of Government, Betty Kamia, said the public should report cases of graft.
Whose cost is it? Who pays the price? People need to know that. Instead of cheering on the Kazindas and calling them generous donors. So the mindset change is very important.
Upon assuming office late last year, Kamia vouched for a lifestyle audit which has been met with both disdain and resistance. During commemoration of the Anti-Corruption Day last December, President Museveni told the IGG to halt plans to roll out a lifestyle audit which would target sophisticated curtails of graft orchestrated by senior public servants and ministers.
I know that it's a good strategy, and if it is sending shivers among many people, then it is a good. I don't know how they do it in Kenya, but I know that people should account for their life. And we've seen in other countries, apart from Kenya, in other countries, confiscation of assets, massive confiscation of assets. There was one which I want to show you before you leave here. So it is working. It is working. It may be slow. It may be requiring some fine-tuning, but you cannot say that it's not a good strategy. To get money, to get loot from somebody who has looted cannot be a bad strategy.
Uganda already has good laws and policies as well as offices to fight graft, but often anti-graft SARS are reduced to jesters, too plain to take action, selectively target and prosecute for political gain, or if they go after regime cronies, they are sidelined. Also, one does not require to conduct a lifestyle audit to prove how corrupt officials have amassed ill-gotten wealth. In poor countries like Uganda, the telltale signs are everywhere. What is not in doubt is that trillions of shillings are siphoned annually through various schemes, from dubious procurements to fiddling with payrolls, which has seen hundreds of pensioners go years without their pension, while for the most part, service delivery has been crippled. But often, as soon as the audit or investigation reports are shared to fulfill a ritualistic pattern, everyone moves on.